Find people that are willing to like just rip you apart in an emotionally safe way and in an honest way because they want you to be better. I think I came into this whole production thing with a little bit of an ego. I'm a real musician, like I know how to play music. You know, the trap that I fell into was trying to make everything kind of like too fancy, too complicated. Like I'm trying too hard to like impress people. You know, dance music is not about that. Like all that matters is making people move and making people feel something. And like that does not have to mean complexity. Like I just want to make dance music. Yeah. I do this because I love it. And if my friends are like winning and I'm not, that's great for me. Or if I'm just enjoying the process, that's great for me too.
What is your creative process like?
I have voice memos. Every single one of these is like a 5-second, like me just like humming. The microphone will pick this up. It's just like, that's like you can hear like the shower is on in the background.
Right. You're just like, you have an idea.
So like this is the beginning of my process. It's just like.
Andrew, thanks for coming over to Tiny Table Radio today.
Thank you so much.
Sunny but freezing afternoon for everyone watching. Tell me your story. You've been DJing and producing for how long now?
I've been producing for longer than I've been DJing.
That's a rarity.
Yeah, so I started making music somewhere in COVID years.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely much more interested in just like making, like I just want to make dance music, and was doing that for a few years. And then one of my friends, one of my main mentors, was like, you have to learn how to DJ. Like you can't just make music and sit back. You got to get out there. And so then I guess I've been DJing for like out in, you know, bars and clubs maybe for 3 years now.
Okay.
Something like that. And then producing maybe at least 5 years.
You're a lifelong bass guitarist, right?
Yes. Yes.
So do you feel like that helped you want to make electronic music? I mean, obviously COVID was a moment in time where a lot of people could be more creative. Was it just kind of like, well, I've been playing this physical instrument, let me make dance music now? Like, what was that shift?
I grew up playing in rock bands pretty much.
Nice.
Maybe my first 6 or 7 years living in New York City, actually, I played bass guitar in a rock band. It's a rock band called Denizen here. So we were like playing out at, you know, the Webster Hall level gigs for, you know, so many years. And then I took a break from that. They're still going. If you want to check them out. And then, you know, my tastes had sort of started to shift more to clubs and dance music. And so I thought, you know, I can sort of make music. Let me like take a crack at this.
Yeah.
From my perspective, whenever I think about dance music in particular, it kind of all begins with the bass. And so that's just convenient that I happen to play bass guitar. And so that's kind of where like my brain is always kind of starts and ends with the bass. And so, you know, having that experience playing bass guitar was sort of very compelling for me to like give it a shot.
I'm curious. I want to go back to when you first picked up a bass guitar. Do you remember that moment? How old were you?
Actually, I'm going to say some number and then my mom is going to be like, she's going to watch this. She's like, that's not actually true. My guess is somewhere around like preteen years. I grew up playing piano and got pretty good at that. But, you know, it was always like reading sheet music and playing classical music. And then, of course, hey, bud, getting into rock bands, and all my friends picked up the guitar, because that's the cool thing. You know, you want to be the front person of the band, you're playing the guitar, you're singing. And I was like, well, how are we going to, you know, if everyone's playing guitar, like, how are we going to have a band? And so I was like, I'll play the bass. That was sort of I'm like, I'll just do this niche. The first few songs were probably like Led Zeppelin songs, was kind of where I started on bass. And then over the years, took more influence from like funk and jazz.
And do you feel like that influences the bass lines that you make in your house music songs today?
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not playing it all the time.
Okay.
Even if let's say I'm like programming a bass line with a keyboard, I'm still like thinking, like my brain thinks about a fretboard. And so then it's kind of weird. I'm like, well, okay, I see the pattern on the fretboard. Like what actually are the notes? And then I'm just like,
right.
Like I know what it needs to sound like.
Yeah.
But so I think like all the bass lines that I make are kind of like thinking from the perspective of like, what would a bass guitarist be doing here? Or
that would be so helpful to have, because right, like especially if your style is a bit more funky or a bit more, you know, musical in that way, that like you would need some dynamic bass lines that wouldn't just be like, you know, steady like rolling 16th, the same note all the time, right?
Yeah,
so like that's
for sure.
Really interesting.
True. But on the other hand, it's like, I think I came into this whole production thing with a little bit of an ego of being like, I'm a real musician. Like I know how to play music. And the the trap that I fell into was trying to make everything kind of like too fancy, too complicated. Like I'm trying too hard to like impress people. And, dance music is not about that. Like really all that matters is making people move and making people feel something. And like, that does not have to mean complexity.
Right.
Like, in fact, I've had to really like tone it down.
Sure.
Much, yeah.
Was there a moment that you would say really humbled your ego of like, I'm a musician?
I do remember there's many, many moments. It's just like a nonstop barrage of just being humbled and rejected. But there was definitely one time where I was on, I joined this like live stream where it's this artist, his name is Ernesto. He's based in Miami. Really incredible musician, incredible ears, like in terms of just like being able to hear stuff. And he has this like live stream where you can submit your tracks and he'll listen to it on Twitch, and then he'll like, pretty much like instantly like give you very, very maybe harsh but like honest feedback about what he thinks about your track. And I just remember like I joined my first week that he did it, and I'm like, oh man, like I had this amazing track. I'm gonna blow him out of the water. And then he just like absolutely ripped it apart like on the Twitch stream in front of probably like 20 other people. It wasn't like thousands of people, but I was just like, oh my God, I am truly so far from where I thought I was.
Sure.
Yeah, that was many years ago, but I still remember that being like, okay, a little bit of soul searching after that broken ego moment on the internet. Yeah.
Sure, but I bet there were some valuable lessons there.
I mean, he gave me very tangible feedback. So that, like you kind of have to like, I think like, if I could dispel any advice to other folks that are making music out there, it is to like put yourself out there and find people that are willing to like just rip you apart in an emotionally safe way and in an honest way.
Yeah.
Because they want you to be better. And so
it seems like that advice has helped. You've signed with some pretty known house music labels. From that point, what were some of the either the pieces of feedback that he gave you then or the biggest lessons you've learned up to the point of really being able to sign with labels that you've hoped to?
I think one thing that has really helped me is really just getting out into the venues and spending time in clubs and just like listening and feeling and being and sort of like absorbing what works for, me as an artist. Like very often we'll go to a nightclub, spend a couple hours there, and maybe know 3 tracks that have been played, right? So it's a lot of just absorbing new stuff and new sounds. And I think that just like spending more time in those environments and like kind of learning what personally resonates, I could then sort of take that home with me and translate that into, clubbier sounds that are going to both hopefully be, creative and stand out on their own, not just copycatting everyone else, but also, something that really would translate into a club environment that other DJs would want to support. And so I think like, a couple of years of that and really trying to pay attention when I'm out in the club, like really listening and really feeling. I think that probably helped me more than really anything, to be honest.
Picking up the cues of what people respond to. Like,
for sure.
It's an energy up on a dance floor. Yeah. Knowing what you know now, since you've been producing and even DJing, maybe this is related to DJing, what would you tell Andrew when he started with this whole dance music journey?
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now.
Honestly, the same thing that I would tell myself today, which is to not compare myself to everyone else around me.
Easier said than done, huh?
I know. I mean, there's this, not my phrase, but there's a phrase out there, something like comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And I have to live that every day. I'm not a jealous type, but I am competitive. Quietly. And so I need to like just remember that like I'm doing this because I love it, not because I want to become some like superstar DJ.
Right.
Like that's actually not really my goal at all. I do this because I love it. And if my friends are like winning and I'm not, that's great for me. Or if I'm just enjoying the process, that's great for me too. So I would give that advice to myself at any phase in this journey.
By a constant reminder for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's natural too, right? Because there is like, there are signs that can validate what people might think of your music or how, quote unquote successful you are in this space, which like you said, ultimately at the end of the day, like dance music is about creative expression, creative freedom, safety. Dance music is really all of those things, but at the same time, there's a commercial element, a commercial side of this industry that is hard to ignore, and it's unavoidable. So it's easy to play into that ego, for better or worse.
Yeah,
Right.
Totally. I mean, I'd be lying if I told you that I didn't care what other people think about the music that I put out. Validation matters in art, and I mean, at least some people may disagree, but I think there is some element to like, people that make something creative like want to share it with the world, and getting reception feels good. Is in some ways is validating, and the other point that you bring up, totally agreed. I mean, I think like I think we're like kind of in a golden age of club and dance music in New York, at least. Like, I mean, just the number of opportunities that you have on any given night to go to like 15 different places and see like truly like world-class DJs and artists perform. It is great. I know that it's not all like rainbows and roses in terms of the economics of running clubs right now. And so I hope we can figure it out. Because I really do feel like this is a really special time. But yeah, it does cost money.
Yeah, it does. And that's a refreshing perspective to hear, because I would say New York is probably the city, if not one of the top cities, that has the most options when it comes to dance music. Like you could go get lost in any type of genre, and it will be a very good experience in its own right.
Totally.
So yeah. How did Wolf Spritzer come about?
There's a couple different things that went into it. So I guess maybe the first thing is that it is. Are you familiar with the Animaniacs? I might be aging myself by calling that. I watched that as a kid.
I am.
And the newscaster, which I can't remember if he was. I mean, I guess he was a wolf. Like that makes sense. He was like the newscaster was Wolf Spritzer. Like clear pun on Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah.
There is like a I don't know, like a lineage of producers out there that have these like silly names. Like there's like a Trues guy, and there's like so that's like a trope. And so I thought that was like funny. It maybe ties a little bit into like a childhood character of a TV show that I liked. And then maybe the more practical one was like I just did a little bit of Googling, going on Spotify, going on Beatport, and like there's no Wolf Spritzer. So if I called myself like Andrew, right? Like the SEO is not so good. And so it just happens to be like kind of a name that just was largely kind of unclaimed. And so I wanted that for myself too.
Smart move.
But I think honestly, the most important part for me was to call myself something that was not like super serious, because I never got into this to be serious and to take myself super seriously. So it's always like a, chuck my ego. Like you named yourself Wolf Spritzer.
Right. Fair. Like you can't. How could you possibly take yourself that seriously? Has anyone ever come up to you at a show and be like, "I know where that's from"?
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Come on, really?
Yeah. The thing that I love about my name is, we have internet friends now, and like I guess that's like our modern version of pen pals. I share music with a bunch of people on the internet. A group of people that I was in a group chat with like thought I was German. Like they thought I like lived in Germany because Wolf Spritzer.
Yeah,
like, oh no, just like some guy in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Not German at all.
Yeah.
Wolf Spritzer is 1/3 of a collective Powerhouse.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Mark and Bridge have both
been
on the show.
I know.
From what I've gathered, it's you guys are focused on like soulful, funk-oriented, classic house kind of vibes, right? How did you get involved with Mark and Bridge? Yeah. And how did the collective come about? In your words,
in my words, right?
The first person
this is revisionist history here. We're not quite sure. So Bridget is very, very good friends with my wife.
Okay.
And they've been friends for a long time, and by that, of course, I've gotten to know Bridget for many years. Before either of us were DJing, actually, we were friends. And same with Mark. Mark is sort of a friend from a group that we both have known each other for many years before DJing. Bridget actually got me my first ever gig on my birthday.
Nice.
On one of the years of my birthdays, as it was like a surprise. And so she and I DJ'd together. That was my first time DJing out in a bar. Mark was also there, just like as part of my birthday. And then we got to talking and we're like, hey, we should, the three of us, we could DJ here again at the same bar. And so we came back again as the three of us, no name, just, bill of free. And then after that, we're like, we just really love DJing together. Let's start something. And at the time we were going to Pirate a lot, just sharing music and talking about DJing. And so it felt really organic. Yeah, it's always just kind of felt easy. The name Powerhouse was we tried 50 or more different names, and that is the one that just kind of stuck.
Just hearing it, it's like, all right, we're gonna experience something big when we go dance, right?
Like we want you to feel something.
Yeah. How would you say that the two of them have influenced your style as a DJ and even potentially as a producer?
They have, like, in terms of people that I have gotten to learn or find new tracks from, those two are, among my biggest sources of, like, because we DJ together a lot, and I'm always like glancing, I'm like, what is this? I'm always glancing over, I'm like, what is this track? And so we're like always emailing each other like files of, like, after the show, I'm like, I need that. And so I've gotten to like just learn a lot of new music through them, and I think like their perspectives are both very unique from mine and from each other. And so I think the three of us bring kind of a unique angle to DJing and to sort of just music experience. I think I've also gotten to learn a lot more about like the history of house music and the history of dance. And I think a lot, we talk about that a lot. I'm really appreciative of that because I don't know if I would know as much about sort of where this all came from if the three of us weren't in a group chat, just like chatting every day about this stuff.
When I've heard any of you guys play out, they've really pulled from a lot of the archives and made it feel and seem modern, which is, it's nice to see and hear that on the dance floor.
Yeah.
Let's go to your kind of production style a little bit now, like nowadays. What is your creative process? Like you said, you start with the bass line. Is that still true? Pretty much every track, you're just like, hear it in your head. That's where you start.
I actually, I bring up my phone because I'm not checking my text messages. I just want to like, I will just be like walking around. I mean, you probably can't see this, but like I have voice memos of just like me just like humming. Every single one of these is like a 5-second, like, I don't even know. I'm just like, I haven't looked at a lot of these, but maybe the microphone will pick this up. It's just like. That's like you can hear like the shower is on in the background.
Right. You're just like, you have an idea.
So like this is the beginning of my process. It's just like a lot of times it's not in the studio. Most of them turn into nothing, but then sometimes I'm like, okay, and then I'll go back and I'll like sit down in my studio and I'll like have my phone up in my ear and be like, okay, and then like transcribe the like me humming into a real bass line and then kind of run from there.
Love it.
Anyway, that's my creative process.
You're the first one to really walk us through that, and thank you for doing that.
Sure.
So once you take the idea from a voice note and get something onto your software, like what's next after that, like actually turning it into a song for you?
A lot of times my ideas will start out with a bass line, and then I'll sort of try to build out drums to the point where it feels like if I can listen to that 4-bar loop for a while and not get bored, I'm like, okay, we have something, right?
Sure.
And then probably after that, we'll start working on, keyboards and synths and sort of, more of the mid-range, the melodic harmonic material.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my tracks have some sort of like lyrical element to it, like some sort of singing or talking. And so sometimes I'll just kind of have the idea, like I'll have heard a song at some point in the last month, and I'm like, whoa, I love that. I want to see if I can maybe sample that. But other times it's like, then I'm like, okay, gotta go digging for some vocal idea that, A, works in the song, and B, I can emotionally connect with. And that part is the hardest. And I think probably if you were to ask a lot of producers sort of at my experience level in the journey here, they would probably agree that if you're going to make a track with vocals, that's the hardest.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's probably true of pop music too.
Do you think it's the big challenge is finding the right vocal to fit what you've already made, or using something that's not overused? What
Yeah.
is like?
Yes, I think
Right.
both of those things, you know, as is very common in dance music and hip hop, like lots of sampling, legal gray area.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're finding stuff that is really interesting and works, but you also, you can't go and sample a Michael Jackson hit and expect that to be able to be released on a label without a major headaches. So
Right.
you got to be a little creative and careful. I've also recently tried to start with the vocal and then sort of work from there. And I suspect that's actually going to be a really big unlock for me.
Okay.
Upcoming, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you started
Kind of
with
starting from the
piano
other
there.
direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a few tracks in that way, and it depends really on the song, right? Because like I don't know, my friend asked me to like make an edit of an En Vogue track once.
Mhm.
Obviously, I'm never gonna release it like
Sure.
on a label.
Yeah.
But I did it, more for fun for her, and we could play it like on a dance floor, right?
Yeah.
And it was really fun to actually start with the vocal first, because everything else that I've made up to that point, drum beat, bass line, probably some melodic element first, and then okay, how can I fill in the rest with vocals? So yeah, I feel you. It's definitely a different like process. You almost like work backwards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So walk us through one of your recent tracks that you've either released or you are looking to release here that you might play in your set. Just kind of take us through how that came about. Was that along the lines of kind of what you explained in terms of like putting it together?
Yeah. I mean, I can walk. Sure. We'll do one that is unreleased, which maybe is a little bit harder to describe because it's not released. But that one actually, it's like I can. The funny one about this one is I can distinctly remember when the idea kind of came to me. I was like on a pier in San Francisco. I was like walking around on a pier, and I was like talking with people, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like I have to step away, and so I like walk down the pier where no one could hear me, and then like again humming into my phone. What I think I really like about this track is like number one, it's like very it's like very dark and clubby and kind of big, and I designed it with a venue in mind, actually. So like we had talked about building a track around a vocal. This one I made for Knockdown Center. I'm like,
Okay.
this track would just bang in Knockdown Center, and that's like I think the Ableton project file is called Knockdown, which is not the name of the track anymore. But like, so it kind of just like that one just like came to me. I had, ironically, I had my voice memo, I had the idea, I had the venue, I had the sort of the synth element, the main synth element that I'm like, this is gonna be it. And then even the vocal sample, I'm like, I think I want to try this vocal sample that's sort of been bouncing in my head for years. And I didn't have the bass line this time, actually. That was the one part that I came into the studio and I tried to make this bass line and it was just awful. And I was like, oh man, this is like so disappointing that I had this like grand vision that I could not translate. That's like really frustrating. But then, one of those things where it's like, just like sleep, just like put it down, pick it up when I'm ready next in a day or two. And then kind of just like banged out a couple different bass ideas. And after that, it was kind of done. It was like, it's not a very complicated track, which I'm also very proud of.
Honestly, I think like, I know you said it earlier, but like some of the best dance music tracks are just so simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a piece of equipment or a specific plugin that you cannot produce a track without?
This is probably cheating. This is probably a little bit of a cheating answer. So there's this brand called Arturia. I think this French brand. Mm-hmm. They make like 1 million instruments and 1 million software instruments. And I have like, their suite of, like 50 software synths and keyboards and organs and it's just like that library of sounds is just like, I just think about it like that's my toolbox. Like I'm in there hunting for like cool synth patches or making my own just constantly. They have emulations of all of the famous synthesizers through the last 40 years of technology. And, that's probably $100,000 worth of hardware inside of a package that was maybe a couple $100.
Yeah.
And so I would say that's sort of my where I go for creativity and where I go to get, just really rich, beautiful, organic sounding sounds, which I really appreciate.
Yeah. That's not a cheat because that is, a piece of software. There's a lot in it, but I'm gonna push you on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Are there any specific synths or specific sound patches in there that you typically tend to go to or utilize a lot?
Yeah. I think if there was like, I had to choose one of them, it would just be like essentially like their Rhodes piano emulator.
Yeah.
There are dozens of different sort of Rhodes software emulators, and so the Arturia one's great. I'm not gonna say it's the best one. I'm just saying like I don't know how I could live without that sound.
Sure.
of like a nice, just like soft electric piano.
Yeah.
It's like a Rhodes or even a Wurlitzer, which I use a Wurlitzer a lot too.
I can hear it while you say it. It's like I know exactly
it's
what you
just
mean.
so warm and inviting and just jazzy and all the things that I love.
I like that answer a lot. I'm biased though because piano is like my home. So
oh well, then what's your piano or keyboard of choice?
I mean, I've been messing around with like the classic M1 sound a little bit.
I actually thought I was actually between mentioning the M1 versus the Arturia
because it just like it has that like again like going to like the 90s dance floor kind of vibe and sound. You're just like there's that it brings me back.
It's just the 90s cheese like in a box. It's like the house piano, the organ is just like you hear like you can hear 30 milliseconds of that organ sound. You're just like, that's the M1 organ.
Yep. Anyway, we won't go down this rabbit hole, or else this would be a 6-hour conversation. Okay, I gotta shift my focus now because
you're like, wait.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go down. I'm gonna have to go into like piano mode. Like we gotta walk away from this now. For non-music essentials, what is something you can't live without when you are at a gig or a show when you're playing?
I try to keep it pretty simple. I really admire people that kind of get out of the box a little bit, so to speak, and they bring their own sort of hardware pieces that isn't like a USB stick or a bag of vinyl. I really appreciate that. I'm not there yet. Maybe someday. So I keep it pretty simple, like earplugs and during a set it's water. Just like
hydration, man.
Hydration. And I'm also, it's like I've played enough shows now or gigs now to sort of obviously feel comfortable behind the decks and feel okay with people staring at me. But there's definitely a tendency to like it's nice to have your hands occupied, and so just like having a glass or a bottle that I can kind of be drinking from, which is ideally water. Yeah.
So. I think it's also easy to forget to stay hydrated when you're
also true. Yeah.
Any upcoming releases, projects, gigs, shows, tracks you want to talk about? You're excited about?
Yeah, I have a release coming up in March. It's a label called Front Left, run by this guy Matt Egbert, I think, out in LA.
Nice.
So that's a little 3-track EP with me and my buddy Azure is his producer name. So he and I have been working together a lot last year. We have, 6 or 7 tracks now that are done and looking for labels. I got a remix coming out, and then we'll see after that. Might be doing some self-releases this year. We'll also see about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I'm looking forward to them. And another thing that we had chatted about or a little bit or discussed off camera before this was, you're 3 years into DJing, 5 years into producing, and so you're still in the process. I think everybody's always in the process of, building sort of that like following of getting people to actually listen to your music, right? Like we can't ignore it, right? Like, people listening is validation, as we said. And, that's obviously you do it because you love it, but you also want people to hear what you do. What's been the biggest like challenge for you in terms of that and really how to like develop that from more of a branding perspective and like really getting people to buy into what you do? Because objectively, I would say like you make great tracks. So yeah, of course, so what do you think is the hardest part of that?
I guess maybe advice. I have maybe one piece of advice and then one call to action. So piece of advice is get out there and find like-minded people that are also doing it. You know, I don't know if I have like fans, so to speak, like, and by that I mean people that I have no personal relationship that just like is a fan of my music. Like,
Sure.
maybe, you know, but a lot of them are like people that I met out in the scene, and you get friendly and you share music, and you know, it's wonderful when someone will come up to you and say that they love your music, but you know, more often than not, it's like it starts with a personal relationship first. If I ever sort of break out of like, you know, local scene DJ, I'll let you know whatever it was that I did that worked. But I think really the biggest breakout is, again, like putting myself out there, which is hard because I am an introvert. You know, also like talking to people on the internet. I have a lot of friends on the internet too that we share music with. So I think that is, you know, one way to sort of build a name and a reputation is just from a grassroots community perspective. And then my call to action for everyone listening to this is like, go support your friends in any artistic endeavor that they're doing. Yeah. I think it's, you know, it's a very common thing where someone's like, I don't know, let's get out of music for a second. Like they're doing sketch comedy. Like they started a sketch comedy pursuit. They have their first sketch comedy show. 50 people show up because it's their first sketch comedy show. Huge success. Second sketch comedy show, 3 people show up. I know that's a very common thing, but like I think, you know, something that we can all do is like show up for people that are doing something that you can clearly tell they care about. And so I personally try to go and support my friends, and I think that matters a lot in the beginning. Yeah. Whatever it is that people are doing. So
yeah. It makes a difference. You know, it's like, it's one of those things where it might not seem that big of a deal to the person showing up, but to the person they're showing up for, it means the world. Yeah, yeah,
it really does.
I couldn't agree with you more there. And people notice. Yeah, like people notice that. Well, it's been really great to chat and get to know you a little bit more. Yeah. Where can people listening follow along with you and your journey? Yeah.
Everywhere is Wolf Spritzer, I think, as in like Instagram, Spotify, SoundCloud. Am I anywhere else? I don't know.
Where do you live on the internet?
Beatport, if you want to buy my music. Also, if you just want to like share music, just like DM me on Instagram. Like I love listening to people's tracks. Or if you want to like hear what I'm cooking up, I'll send you stuff. I don't care. I love that exchange of just like appreciating people's works. So yeah, great. I don't know, get at me.
Nice. Andrew, it's been a pleasure to have you on. We always ask our guests one final question.
Okay.
It's more of a finish this statement point.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
The statement is, to me, house music is blank.
Spiritual. Yeah.
Andrew?
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks for listening to that latest interview on Tiny Table Radio. It would help a lot if you hit that subscribe button now so I can bring on more guests and keep this show going. So hit that subscribe button now, and we'll see you next time. Enjoy the set.